and 7th grade, we are ready for English, and we are ready for page 4, and we're going to do page 4, 5, and 6 today. You guys are, now page 4 is again the same kind of thing that we did on Friday, where we decided what was plot, what was character, and what was characters, and what was the setting. And remember the difference, the characters are who was involved in the story, who the people were that were involved in the story. Today you're going to be talking about Ruth and about Job. Those are books in the Bible that are stories. And so you've got the characters, and then you've got the setting is where it happened. Where did the story take place at? What town did it take place in? All of that. And then the plot is the story, what the story was about, the content of your book. So you're going to do that on page 4. I think you guys can do that. Down at the bottom of the page, you've got 5 chapters to read, and it's kind of a lot. But again, just watch your pages for your chapters. But you're supposed to be ending on chapter 30. So you're probably getting a good ways through your book by now. Probably getting close to being done, actually. So do your reading. Page 5, you have a story on gentleness, about Racer, Victor, and Pudge, and Ronnie. You're going to read that story and answer the questions down at the bottom on page 5. So let's go to page 6. It says, the stories we have examined are short stories. A short story has few characters and a simple plot. A novel, like the Swiss Family Robinson, has the same story elements as a short story, but the plot is more complicated. Okay, so your book is thicker and a lot is happening in the story. That's what they're talking about. They want you, on numbers 1 to 3, they want you to give the setting of the Swiss Family Robinson. Where did the story take place at? What happened in the story? Where were they? And these answers don't all have to be exactly like what the score key has, as long as you give a general idea, and I can see that you're on the right track. Then they want to know the characters. Who were the characters in the story? Who is doing the action in the story? And then the plot is what happened in the main part of the book. Obviously, you're not done yet with reading, but give a general idea of what you would say. What are they talking about? What's happening in the book, and what do they do? And it says, as already stated, every story must have a basic problem or conflict. A novel like the Swiss Family Robinson has a major problem or conflict, but the writer also uses a series of minor problems or conflicts. Now on numbers 4 to 9, match the story with the major conflict. So you have Esther, Jonah, Ruth, and Job, and then the Swiss Family Robinson, and then Romans 7:15, verse 15. And your options are between Satan and a godly man, between a godly woman and her circumstances, between a family and a hostile environment, between God's servant and God, with inner feelings or ourself, and between a wicked man and God's people. You're supposed to match. In other words, between Satan and a godly man. I think that sounds like Job, and that is the major conflict in the story of Job. So Job would be A, then you'll just match the others. And then down the bottom of the page, each chapter listed below presents and resolves at least one problem or conflict faced by the characters in the Swiss Family Robinson. Write at least one problem or conflict from each chapter. All right, so they give different chapter numbers here. And you are to write down on the blank one major, they don't even say major, one problem or conflict that happened in that chapter. And I will give you the first one and kind of give you an idea on what they're asking for. So if you go to chapter 5, I'm not sure, I don't know the page numbers, but if you go into chapter 5, you should be able to find stories about how they were trying to get animals ashore. They were trying to find a way to get their animals to shore. And they were also trying to figure out how to stop a shark. You guys remember that when you were in your reading? Either one of those would have been fine. And the score key does have, on several of the questions, has several options. So if you have one, that's okay. So see what you can do. See if you can figure out one conflict in each one of these chapters they list. All right, that is all for your lesson today. Hope it goes well and you have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.